You know.
Yeah, we dissected a little bit of his work, and
Yeah.
It's
And we
so
have
much
$0,
stuff.
so they can't get
Yeah,
anything out
they
of us
can't take
anyway.
anything from us.
Yeah.
All it would give us free publicity. Bring it on, Wilcock. But his whole thing with as far as the Nazis, his claim, he's got like 7 or 8 secret space programs. We had to make up a Mickey Mouse song to remember them all, but. What is it? How'd it go again? MIC,
GGLN.
GGL and
There's a
Dark
lot. There's a
Fleet,
lot of them.
Solar Warden. Okay, but don't ask. The Nazi UFOs that he claimed that the Nazi space program met up with the reptilians, and now they are something called the Dark Fleet. That's where the Nazi UFO technology went. I'm sure your research is actually a little more legit than this, but this is what he has them as the big baddies. This is the Empire. This is Darth Vader up there with the reptilians and the Nazis, and nothing about that.
Sounds like that movie was it Dark Skies? No, not Dark Skies. Oh gosh, Dark
Skies is a great movie, though. I do love
well,
L.A. when they come down.
Well, it was the one where the Nazis had been hiding out on the moon.
I remember that. Oh,
yeah, it's a great
Iron
Sky.
Iron Sky. Okay, yeah.
That's a great movie. They actually have been working on a sequel for that.
I just watched the trailer and it looks amazing.
Where they go to the Hollow Earth and run across Hitler riding a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh yeah!
Oh wow!
Oh yeah! Good stuff. Gold. Please go look up.
The research that I have conducted, along with Tim Beckley and some of Sean Castillo and some of us others, I do think that the Nazis were approaching some kind of legitimate different method of space travel, possibly involving what we'd call anti-gravity or field propulsion is really the more correct term. And I've written quite a bit about Nikola Tesla, and I think that some of the stuff that the Nazi scientists were working on at the end of World War II actually came from Tesla, that the Nazi East Coast spy program that was going on at the time, probably had lifted a lot of stuff that Tesla had stashed away. Because at that time Tesla was pretty old and had lost, well, not really lost, but kind of lost track of some of his material, because we have these reports and some really good stories coming from like former engineers that worked for the Nazis that were then brought over to the United States with Operation Paperclip, that talked about their research constructing what we would call flying saucers or flying discs that were using a form of what's called electrogravitics, which was using like a massive amounts of electricity to create propulsion. So I think that they were onto something at that point, maybe even as far as to have working prototypes that were then seized by both the Soviet Union and Great Britain and the United States. Great Britain did quite a bit of research that was then later moved to Canada at the Avro facilities up there, and then that material ended up into the hands of the United States. So some of the speculation that there may have actually have been an offshoot of this research done by a different group, maybe various corporations that weren't associated really with any government or military. They were just rich entities on their own that may have taken all of this a step further. And then, that's where this whole idea of the secret space program and the breakaway civilization came from. So, rather than having national entity like the United States or China or the Soviet Union, you'd have a group of rich industrialists and corporations who had conducted this research, developed their own space program, then gone from there.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense than anything Wilcox said. We tried. It's so, it became a cartoon after a while. We're just going to keep going with it. But I'm glad you brought up Tesla. Now you've written extensively about the secrets of.
I have a question real quick. Oh, sorry. Since you're talking about, you were talking about the East Coast secret programs and some of the underground stuff in Project Paperclip. I live about like 45 minutes from Camp Hero, where the Montauk project happened. And just out of curiosity, I was wondering if you've ever come across anything interesting about the Montauk project in your research, or the interdimensional Bigfoot Junior, or anything like that. They say that he took bites out of buildings.
Well, I don't know if it took bites out of buildings, but supposedly, he trashed the place.
Yeah, exactly. I go out there sometimes and just kind of explore and stuff, and it's very weird out there.
Isn't that a weird place?
It's very weird. You get strange vibes there, and it's just you definitely can feel that something happened there, or that there's weird energy there for sure. But I was just curious if you've ever come across anything interesting about the Montauk project.
We could do an entire show.
Really?
On that subject alone, because there's so much. A lot of the stuff that is now circulating online is more than likely spurious. It's just the stories, as years go by, just get wilder and wilder and crazier. But I do think that there was a research going on there that originated with the Philadelphia experiment that took place in the 1940s, and they realized that, hey, we've got something here that we need to find out more about. So they moved the research then to Camp Hero, and it just it escalated from there. Whether or not the stories that about like time travel or interdimensional journeys or things like that, maybe I'll say that I'll think it's credible like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sundays.
So a little unbelievable, a little bit.
Right. But there have been reports that there is a field on the grounds of Camp Hero where the bodies have been buried. That I guess subjects who were part of the experiments that were going on there, runaways, hobos, homeless people, things like that died during this process were basically just dumped.
Wow.
There's a filmmaker that he's been told where this location is, but unfortunately, it's on military grounds, so they have to get permission to dig there. But he's been trying to do that. I think actually that he's managed to get a cadaver dog out there.
Wow.
That has indicated that there is something buried there.
Oh wow!
So
that's very cool.
That's
awesome.
You find something like that, and it's going to somewhat confirm some of these stories that have come out of that area. It's not going to confirm, like you said, like the interdimensional Bigfoot that was made to appear to trash the place, but maybe some of these other subjects, the MK Ultra types of experiments that were going on, at the time at an extreme level, using drugs and brain surgery and things like that. That could definitely be true.
Definitely.
Yeah, it seems like the right time for people to take interest too, because Stranger Things is so popular now. People are kind of coming around on it, thinking it's not so unbelievable. Who knows? But so, like I said before, you've written extensively about Tesla, which is really fascinating, and your books look really great. And I know you've talked about it. A lot of people have been asking us to do an episode about this. but I want to talk about Trump, the time traveler, which is the story that's going around. Hey, I've kind of watched this story unfold, followed it. I remember it was literally a meme that started on 4chan, where it was the story of, oh, Trump can time travel, and how do you think he knows this, and how do you think he's 2 steps ahead? And then people are like kind of laughing at this guy posting on 4chan. He's like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, well, what about his uncle John Trump? He's the one who got all of Nikola Tesla's information, and he couldn't do anything with it, but he left it to his favorite nephew Donald, and Donald had the means to utilize the information once the technology was available. And there you go, time traveling Trump. And everyone thought it was a joke, and now you see people have discovered the name of the book. What's it called? The Last President. You aware of this, Tim?
Right. Yeah. The one written back in the 19th century.
Yes, where the main character's name is the boy is named Barron. He looks exactly like Baron Trump. There's a character called the Dom who takes him through time. And that's how the story goes, right?
Right. Yeah. It's it's actually I think there's 2 books based on this character of Baron Trump, and they were written almost kind of like along the lines of. I think the author is trying to go for like the Wizard of Oz type of vibe to it, but he wasn't a very good writer. First of all, I mean, if you can find the books online,
yeah.
And they're not very well written. And you're absolutely correct, though. I mean, the names are there. The second book actually goes into talking about the last president of the United States, and it's the name is Trump, but I can't remember.
It's too much. It's too coincidental.
The main character.
It's like you don't want to believe it, but it's too much there.
It's really weird.
Yes, Drea, the main character is a little kid named Baron
There's
Trump.
a guy named Pence. There's a guy named Pence in the story too, or something.
Right? Yeah. Pence was like on the last president's administration.
Now, the crazy part about the meme that started it all was that it was that Trump was a time traveler, but that. Pence, and if you're aware of the meme, Tim, you know what I'm talking about, where Pence is also a time traveler, but he's come from a time where everyone is evolved and they all look like him. So there can be multiple Pences on Earth at one time. And pretty much it ends as a joke where it's like, well, the Hillary's campaign will win because they have a Pence embedded in there. And the very last frame is a picture of Tim Kaine's wife. And if you look close, she looks a lot like Pence with a wig on. And that was and that she is a Pence that has infiltrated the other. I mean, the meme was great. It's a really funny meme, but it kind of got real once the Baron Trump last president thing was discovered. That's when you go, wait, hold on. Did this guy maybe know what he was talking about?
Oh, my God. Well, coming from Indiana, you know that Pence was the governor of Indiana before he was pegged to be vice president. And I used to work at a television station in Indianapolis, and when Pence was, what was he? He was a senator, I think. When he was a senator, I oftentimes had to work with him. And let me tell you, if there is a future full of Pences, God help us all.
No.
Yeah.
I mean,
God to help us.
Garfield is required reading. Isn't he a huge Garfield head? I don't know.
He at that time, and he may have changed, but I doubt it. He was just a miserable person. I hated working with him, and I worked with a lot of politicians, a lot of governors, congressmen, senators, local representatives and stuff, but he was probably one of the worst.
That's so great. Yeah.
Not surprised.
We'll pray that future is not the meme that we're looking for. I want to say, we'd love to have you back sometime. Thank you so much for taking this time to talk with us. You are living just an extraordinary life. As I read through your bio and I hear you on different programs, I kind of want to aspire to be a guy like you, Tim. I just want to say I look up to you.
Yep.
I want to thank you for coming on. You're out there doing the stuff that we want to do, writing books about fascinating topics. And you're not taking yourself too seriously. You can still have you're having fun with some of this. And everybody, please, the whole one reason I want to do this, go